Hello, this is High Templar with a new episode of my Total War Warhammer DLC speculation, and today we'll be talking about the High Elves army. This will be the second part of the High Elves video and the 7th or 8th part of my Expansion 1 videos. And we will get those guys at some point in the game, and they have a huge roster, very interesting roster, and they are arguably the most powerful army in the tabletop Warhammer, although not that many people will actually argue that. And the image that you can see right now in front of you is their not usual colors. Their usual colors would be white and blue. So let's start with something, the weakest unit that those guys can field, and those would be Spearmen. And yes, not Gold Rays, not Dark Shards, Spearmen. Sorry, I had to make fun of some of the Dark Elves names. So the Spearmen are... They will be similar to the Wood Elf Spearmen, really. So there would be 100 men in the unit. They will have those armor-piercing spears that are good versus large, because, you know, Spearmen. And they will have decent light armor, so I would say, although the Wood Elf Spearmen already do have a decent light armor in the Warhammer type, in the Total War Warhammer, because not in tabletop. You might argue that those guys have better Spearmen than the Wood Elves. And those guys can fight in 4 ranks. That means if the unit has 4 rows, like this one, that you can see in front of you, even the last guys can attack the enemy that is in front. Which is, you know, ridiculous and absolutely, well, absolutely not doable in the Total War Warhammer, but still those guys are powerful. And there is no chaff units really with elves, so this is the lowest you can go. So price range would be about 500 to 600 armor piercing spears and so on. Pretty cool unit. Then we have Lothran Seaguard, and those guys are actually hybrid unit. Those guys can take bows. Although in tabletop those are not long bows, but your normal bows, so, you know, less range, and most likely in Total Warhammer less damage. But still, if you say that the archers would have a range of 160, those guys should still have a range of 130, 40, something like that, so, you know. But as you can see, those guys also have spears and shields. Are there a doable unit in Total War Warhammer? I mean, yes, of course. We had already some archer units in Total War Rome 2. There were Cimbri bowwomen who actually had spears. So charging at them with a light cuff was probably not the best choice you could have made. And yeah, it is very doable to make a unit like that who is very decent at fighting. In the tabletop they are actually as good as fighting as the Spearmen. Slightly worse in the shooty business, but you know, that hybrid unit would be costing about 800 or more. I mean, yeah, I think about 800. And there would be 100 men inside, might be even more but than 800, and would be also pretty cool unit. They had some weaknesses before, but not after the introduction of the Sea Helm, but that's tabletop and I won't dwell into that too much. Then we have something more sturdy, and that would be Swordmasters of Hoeth. I might be pronouncing that wrong, so forgive me I just read that stuff. I don't actually talk to anybody about it, so I don't know how it's pronounced. Either way, those guys would be your pretty good, heavy armored, two-handed swords infantry. In the tabletop they are absolutely broken because, like all other high elves, they have always strike first. And normal tabletop two-handlers have always strike last, but those guys ignore that and, you know, attack you first. And they also, yeah, well, generally you don't want to be in front of those guys when you are fighting with the high elves. It would end pretty badly. So, yeah, those guys. What about the price? I would say 900 to 1100 and 100 men in a unit would be something that we would expect from them. They are sturdy, they are very good unit. In any other army they would be, you know, the best of the best. But, you know, not high elves, because high elves has a lot of very good units. And one of those would be Phoenix Guard, which are considered really the best unit in the tabletop Warhammer, the best infantry unit in the tabletop Warhammer. Those guys have, you know, halberds and wear heavy armor, and in tabletop they actually have a ward save. So, yeah, pretty resistant and decent enough hitting. Those guys are actually the guards of the Phoenix King, so normally they should be very rare, but I don't think we would have such a such a condition in the Total War Warhammer, because we can get as many chosen as we want, so there should not be blocking of how many Phoenix Guard you can get. Although there was recently added unit of aspiring champions, which is limited, so maybe. But yeah, I generally think those guys you can have as much as you want, and those guys are like chosen with halberds really, but better. So yeah, pretty hardcore. How much they would cost? Well, I think they should be costing about 1200 in the Total War Warhammer. It's possible they would have some kind of resistance, maybe to physical damage, maybe to ward save in general, because their health is normally very low, and they would be, because of the ward save, extremely sturdy unit for high elves. One of the very few sturdy unit for high elves. Then we have White Lions of Race, and those guys, as you can see, also two handlers. They are also very decent. They are also considered bodyguard units on occasions. I won't really dwell into the lore and go into explaining what Phoenix Guards and White Lions actually are, because they have a long and extensive lore about them. But, you know, generally, White Lions in the tabletop are very powerful unit that comes somewhere between the Swordmasters and the Phoenix Guard. They are not as sturdy as the Phoenix Guard, but they are sturdier than the Swordmasters. On the other hand, they can dish more damage than the Phoenix Guard, but are cheaper. In the tabletop, in the Total War Warhammer, they would fill their niche that is held by, say, Chaos Warriors. So they would cost about 800, and 100 men in the unit, and they would have pretty nice stats to go with those. Then we have archers. Again, just archers. And the archers for the High Elves should be, you know, very good archers, because those guys have hundreds of years to practice. Although they are, you know, in essence militia, but, you know. High Elves militia is probably a lot better trained than any standing troops of any nation, really. Any human nation, at least. So those guys would be slightly weaker than the Glade Guards, but only slightly. They won't have the choice of the arrows that the Glade Guards have. They would still have 80 men inside, they would still cost about 500, and they would still be a very decent unit. Then we have Shadow Warriors, and I'm a bit... I really don't know where to put them. Shadow Warriors are pretty amazing unit, and most consider it to be a hybrid unit, but I feel they more similar to the Deepwood Scouts. I mean, they are elves, so of course they are very good at fighting hand to hand. I mean, sword to shield, whatever. But they are also very good skirmishing unit, and they are actually better archers than, you know, archers, high-level archers. So I think we will have a small unit of 80 or perhaps 60. I would rather say 60. We will have to see, with a price range about 700, because those guys are just that good. And finally we have sisters. Those gals are the Amazons of High Elf army, and yeah, flaming attacks and all that. They are considered to be the best range troop in the Warhammer tabletop. So yeah, costing probably around 11 or 1200. 60 gals in a unit with pretty amazing hitting power. They also have Thunder Armor, I mean something like Thunder Armor in the tabletop, so we might see them Thundering Armor aside from flame attacks in the Warhammer, in the Total War Warhammer. Sorry for mixing them up. Then we have Great Eagles. For the monsters, you know, Great Eagle is a Great Eagle. There is one of them, 900 cost, and they are pretty good at what they do. But you also have some more interesting flying monsters for the High Elf, starting from the Flamespire Phoenix. And this guy should be costing quite more than Great Eagle, possibly 1200. And he's well, he can be used in tabletop as pretty much napalm bomber, so maybe you could do something similar that the dwarf bomber do? I actually have no idea how this will be, how the attacks will be visualized, but they do a lot of flaming attacks that are very, very dangerous. So obviously a very cool unit, very dangerous unit, slightly on the weak side, but you know, it comes with the territory of being bird, really. But obviously those guys are, this is a phoenix, so if it dies, at least in tabletop, it can be reborn. Will it be so in Total War Warhammer? I don't think. It would be extremely cool if they would implement a chance of reborning it, or maybe regeneration would be simpler. I don't know, but either way, it's pretty cool unit, but not as cool as its granddaddy. This is Frostheart Phoenix. So apparently, where phoenixes are growing older, they are going colder, and then they are going into negatives. And, well, cold fire. Cold fire Phoenix doesn't have when you die you can reroll ability, but then again, as I've told you already, in the Total War probably won't have either way, but he does have decent armor. And this magnificent beast also is draining strength of the units around it. And that might be working pretty much similar way as the Mortis Engine. That would be very, very cool. And possibly some debuff to the melee attack, because it's reducing the strength of the unit. Normally in tabletop it's reducing the speed of the unit. It makes the unit to strike last and reduce the strength of the unit, which makes some of the goblins literally ineffective, literally doing 0 damage. So yeah. But in the Total War Warhammer, those guys will be probably sucking up your life and doing some debuff to melee possibly, or weapon strength. We'll have to see really. Would be also very cool to see those, because the models are amazing, and Creative Assembly so far has produced pretty amazing looking models also, so I'm looking forward to seeing those guys. Then we're going to Cavalry, starting with Silverhands. Silverhands are light cav, so 60 guys in a unit, costing around 800, because they are not your typical light cav. They are actually hitting pretty hard with very decent charge bonus, and if that would be represented, they would be costing around 800, because they are very good. They are also very fast. So there you go. There is also a version of the Glade Riders, and those guys are Illyrian Reavers. Very powerful unit. They are fast, they can hit and run. Well, obviously they can shoot and run. There should be 60 of them, and they should be costing between 700 and 800, I have to say. They won't have poison attack, but they will still be very, very good at what they do. Then we have something heavier. These are the Dragon Princes of Calador. And yeah, those guys are, you know, they like knights, but with elven spears, and they are elves. So they are better at fighting than your humans. They should be costing around 1300, because they should be better than Reichsguard. Because, you know, like I said, they are elves with elven armaments. They should not be weaker than the Reichsguard, really they should not. They might be weaker than the Blood Dragons, they might be weaker than Griffins or Grey Knights, but that's about it. So 1400, the Dragon Princess of Calador. Oh yeah, those guys also have flame resistance, so I mean fire resistance. I mean, not like, I mean, they used to have immunity, but in the tabletop they will have probably a percentage fire resistance. Then for the machines we are starting with Tyranno Chariot, and sorry, I might be pronouncing that very, very badly. This is your basic light chariot. There would be 4 of them, I guess, because, you know, your normal chariot would be... I know that the Goblin chariots are more, but I don't think we will see 8 of them in the High Elves army. They would probably cost around 800, you know, and have bows and decent hitting power for a chariot, but in reality probably nobody will ever pick it. in the multiplayer battle. Unless they will make 8 of them, so then they will be pretty crazy. I mean 16 multiplayer battles. Then we see, and obviously will have to be more expensive. Then we have a White Lion Chariot. And yeah, I mean a chariot that is being pulled by lions that has elite white lion infantry in the back. That is your chariot unit with the strength of the Gorby's chariot. I would expect them to be costing around 1200-1300. Be 4 of them and be pretty amazing. But that's not... If you thought that's all and that the High Elves don't have anything more, then I give you Lothran Skycutter. And yeah, this is a glider pulled by a hawk that has a bolt thrower on it. How many of those guys will be in a unit? I have no idea. There could be 1, there could be 4, depending on, you know, what they will do with the unit. If those bolt throwers would be, you know, slightly less effective than the dwarves bolt throwers, you could put 4 of those skycutters in a unit and then have put a serious price tag on them. I mean like 1200. And that will make pretty amazing unit that you can basically go close and attack your enemy and then retreat, kill their monsters and such. But obviously very much a glass cannon, because, you know, as you can see from this image, it's not very sturdy. Mostly made of paper, so, you know, and the Hawk is also not that resilient. If there would be single unit, they would be obviously less expensive. It really depends on the stats on the bolt thrower. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. But it is an interesting unit that I'm really looking forward to test in a battle. Then we have your standard artillery for elves, and this is repeatable bolt thrower. And I have mentioned repeating bolt throwers in my Dark Elf videos already. There may be several ways they will implement it. It's possible that they will make a single unit that is firing this bolt very, very closely, or make a volley and then take a quite long time to reload. Then you will have to probably make a unit of 1 and put it at decent price, like, you know, 600, 700, something like that. But you can make it a lot weaker, make a 4 of it and make it a lot more expensive. Like even 1200 really, if they can throw enough of those bolts in the battlefield, they might be pretty amazing and also pretty broken as the artillery pieces goes, because, you know, armor piercing bolts that can fly in the range of 300 meters, say, deal 130 damage, and you can throw a lot of them. That might be a bit overpowered, so yeah. Then we have a noble, and this is your standard melee hero for the Wood Elves. We will see all the melee heroes and lords? Probably not, because for the Wood Elves they were not made. And Creative Assembly said that they made all the units, but absolutely ignored the heroes and lords for the Wood Elves, so they will probably make the same for those guys. And they did ignore Glade Captain, which is, you know, really the noble. they might ignore the noble because there are so many fun options to use outside of him, but he's your, standard melee hero. But you also have a mage. And the mages of elves are pretty darn good. They have their own lore, high lore. They mostly use like celestial life or high lore, but they do have access to every magic. I do feel in the Total War Warhammer they would use heavens, life and high. You can also have Dragon Mage, which in Total War Warhammer will be obviously just a mage that you can finally put on a dragon. Weakest dragon, Sun Dragon, but a dragon. Or even a Moon Dragon. I don't think so, that would be an overkill. And I will get to the dragons in a moment. But we will definitely see those guys as the heroes. And the unit that I'm seeing there is also Hate Maiden of the Everqueen. And this is your hybrid hero that is, as you see here, sporting a spear, so anti-large, armor piercing, with a good bow ability, and also buffs to your range units. Similar as the Waystalker, but better. I mean, not really better. She will be better in the melee. A hybrid hero would be something very nice to see in the Total War Warhammer. And I'm looking forward to see this girl. Maybe we'll see her. I'm looking forward for that. Then we have Seahelm, which I've mentioned before, and this guy is your marine, really, your captain of the ship. However you call him, I don't think we will see him in the Total War Warhammer, because he's just elven noble with different abilities. And abilities are never really well translated from the tabletop to the Total War. Once we are with the heroes, I must mention more about the mount options, because you have enormous amount of options with the mount. So you can put a mage on a dragon, but you can put them also on the griffins, elven steed. I mean, you can put some of the units on the phoenixes. So griffins, you name it. You can even put them on a chariot, if you wish so. So there is lots and lots of mount options, and probably more than, I haven't actually counted them, but it looks, if you count the dragons as 3 separate entities, sun dragons, moon dragons and star dragons, they will be more than any other faction have, which is cool. Going into the lords, we have a prince. So he's your standard melee lord that you can put on a dragon if you wish so. Here is one in ridiculous high elven armor. And the princes are, well, they are absolutely amazing in combat, and they should be more powerful in combat stat-wise. I mean, they are squishy, but they should be more powerful in combat than, say, a Glade Lord. Still, similar. In many ways similar, high stats, low, well, everything else. We have an Archmage, and I don't feel actually we will see Archmages as a Lord option for High Elves. I mean, normally, before the Wood Elves, I would say we do, but they didn't really. They actually didn't do a magical lord for the Wood Elves, and I don't feel that they will do for the High Elves, because is not really nothing that interesting about those guys. Then we have Lore Masters of Hearts, which is very interesting indeed, because it's a different kind of hybrid lord. Like, you have Archeon, who is a melee spellcaster hybrid, and this is pretty much the same, but not a unique character. This is your basic lord that you can pick as many of those as you can, and that would be something very cool, and I would really like to see it, and I think they will make it to the Total War Warhammer. But they have another shot at them, but they have a very hard competition with Anointed of Azuria, which are, you know, pretty amazing, and you can put them on phoenixes, and yeah, they do look great. Maybe they are not as great in tabletop, but they do look great, and they would make amazing lords. And having 3 options of your standard lords, I mean a prince, a lore master, and Anointed of Syrian, will not be a bad option at all. Then we have to go to the legendary lords, and I'm a bit troubled with this one, because there is few named characters for Elves. I picked few that I think have a chance of being mating into the legendary lords. I think Alit, Anar the Shadow King, would be one of them, but I don't think he has a like extremely big chances of getting there. He is interesting. He is an interesting character, but he's a hybrid, and his bow hits like a bolt thrower basically. So, but we've seen already that in the Glade Lord. He would be pretty interesting, but none of them really strike me as a must-have, like Durtu before, you know. So yeah, Alit is one. Alariel the Radiant, she's actually the Everqueen, so she's like the wife of the Phoenix King for the High Elves, and we do have stats for them for her for tabletop. She might get into the game, and she's pretty amazing spellcaster, and like I mentioned before, so Lord of the Skies, Lord of Life, and High Lord of Magic. I would really like to see her. I mean, we will see Faye Enchantress, so maybe we will see also Alariel. Then we have Finubar Seafarer himself, who is the Phoenix King. He is pretty amazing. Unlike some previous kings, he actually traveled a lot. He knows the world. He knows that the humans do not live in the mud hovels, but you know, are slightly more sophisticated than average higher thing. He might be very interesting hybrid lord again, and I would really, obviously with some fire attacks, and pretty darn good at melee. But and I think he will be a faction leader, because there is only one other spot the one other person that can take that spot, but he's a king, so he should be. But we don't actually have rules for him in the 8th edition, so I don't know. I mean, actually I do know. Yeah, I'm 90% sure this guy will be the faction leader. We will have him, but I don't know what to say about him, because, you know, there are no rules really. And finally we have Tyrion the Defender of Ulthuan. who is your... He used to be very commonly picked. Him or Alariel would be picked in tabletop battles for High Elves as a legendary lord. He is your pretty amazing melee lord, and I would be looking forward to see him in a battle, really. But again, I cannot really say anything about his skills because, well, like I said before, Creative Assembly do not have a good history of taking rules from the tabletop for the lords, the special rules, or race special rules for the most part, and putting them in the Warhammer. Still, I love Warhammer. I mean, I love Total War Warhammer, don't get me wrong, and it's getting balanced better and better with each patch. But yeah, I don't know about this guy. I can't tell you anything because I cannot make a good prediction of how this guy will play out. Similarly, as I wasn't really able to tell you much about Due2, because with all those lords that have access to so many different lords of magic and being also a good melee fighters and having special rules in the tabletop, it's really hard to predict how the person would play in the Total War Warhammer, and usually my predictions, as weak as they were, that I haven't actually said them aloud, were wrong, so I won't attempt to do this time. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all about the Elves. I hope you like it. If you did, press like, comment if you will, and see my other videos. In Total War Warhammer, I do DLC speculation, mod reviews, mechanics videos, but I also do Let's Plays in Total War series and other games. Thank you for watching, and see you later.